boys in the band today.
Good morning. I'm Rev Ogun Holder, Senior Minister. So thrilled to see all your beautiful smiling faces today. Your smiling faces must be responsible for the warmth and sunshine that I'm finally feeling that was promised to me for so long. Thank you very much. Please stand as you're enabled. Join hands with someone as we ground ourselves into this energy of sacred space, singing together, Surely the Presence. Sing it again, surely the presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory.
Surely God is here because you are here. Your smiling faces is God's smile. Your glorious warmth is God's love. And together we give thanks with open hearts and great gratitude and joy for this coming together of spiritual community, that we may celebrate our oneness, celebrate our divinity, celebrate the unfolding into the fullness and the highest, greatest, grandest version of who we are. We give thanks. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. You may be seated.
Keith Bickford is our guest artist today. Yay! It's a nice boys in the band feature day. And Brian Halsey is on the keys because he does that jangly blues thing really well.
He also sings very well. It's always nice to have accompaniment vocally, so. Especially from the choir this morning. So I have to say, Maura, as we all know, Maura has really done a bang-up job in many ways right here as music director, but there's a lot of great music directors that have been in this church and supported of this church, but no one has done the work with the choir that Maura has done, and the choir is absolutely awesome, and it's so nice. I'm really grateful for your support today. I can't be singing this alone now. All right. Here we go, folks. And so this is a Curtis Jerome Haynes song called "I Got a Home in the Kingdom." I got a home in the kingdom, Lord. The kingdom's home in me.
in the oneness, Lord. Oneness has a home in me. I got a home wherever I roam. All this I know. All this I know. Hey, Brian. I got a home in the Spirit, Lord. Spirit's got a home in me. Well, I got a home wherever I roam, and all this I know. And all this I know. I got a home in the stardust, Lord. The stardust has a home in me. I got a home wherever I roam now. All this I know, and all this I know. I got a home in the river, Lord. River's got a home in me. I got a home wherever I roam. All this I know. All this I know. I got a home in the kingdom, Lord. Kingdom got a home in me. I got a home wherever I roam. All this I know. A little softer. All this I know. Bring it down just a little bit. All this I know. All this I know. All this I know. Let me hear you, Chucky. Bring it up, brother. All this I know. All this I know. Let me hear you. Come on, Brian. Human metronome, Mr. Stevie Chigara. All this I know. All this I know. Let me hear you singing. All this I know. Brothers and my sisters. All this I know. Calling from the mountain. All this I know. Let me hear you sing out. All this I know. Let me hear my sisters. Calling on the brothers now. Let me hear you singing. All this I know. 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 Thank you very much.
Beautiful, Keith. Thank you for waking us up this morning, getting us going with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, there we go, good. Good morning, Unity on the River. I am so happy to be here this morning. Are you happy to be at church this morning? Yeah. So I want you to just feel that a little bit. Feel what it feels like to actually be happy. Bring that into your week. It's Sunday morning. It's the beginning of our week. It's the beginning of springtime. Finally, it's coming. And here we are together in spiritual community. And I welcome you. My name is Jackie Woodside. I will be celebrating services, facilitating services with you this morning. I'll be celebrating next week when Reverend Ogun is gone, but I will be facilitating this morning with Reverend Ogun. Today in our service, what we're going to look at are some of the events that have been happening in our world in these last few weeks and few months. In fact, this year, some of the racial tensions that have occurred, some of the events that have occurred that are a little bit hard to understand. And yet, how we face life, how we face everything is that we are spiritual beings unfolding in our human experience. And sometimes it takes something to wrap our heads around that. So we're going to go deep with Reverend Ogun's message with that this morning, and we're very much looking forward to that. So we are a church of celebration, inspiration, transformation, oneness, and joy. Take those core values into your heart as we begin this morning by saying the mission and vision of Unity on the River. Our mission: we are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And our vision: centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. That is who we are. We like to welcome anyone at the beginning of our services who might be here celebrating services with us for the first time. So if today is your first day with us, your first time to be introduced to our ministry, if you would just raise your hand, give a little wave, and good morning. And someone from our welcome team will come and give you a flower and say hello to you. Thank you. Anybody else? Great, welcome. Yeah, Frank right here. Oh yeah, keep your hands up so Frank can find you. There you go. Thank you very much. Welcome to Unity on the River. Please do know that we welcome all paths to God, and your presence certainly enriches us this morning, and we thank you for being here with us. You'll have the opportunity after services, someone will meet you and take you to the welcome table and answer any questions that you might have about our ministry, but thank you for being here with us. We are also a church that live streams our services around the globe, I might say, on the internet, and so we are live streaming this morning. So for those of you who don't want to be on the camera, now's the time to duck. For those of you who do, turn around and give a wave to those people that we are live streaming to. Say good morning to those people. Great. Yeah, we do that. We have, and so next Sunday I will be celebrating services with you on Mother's Day. I'll be giving a talk called The Mother of All Spiritual Practices. I will be talking about the use of your spiritual power of imagination and why when we are living in constant chaos and busyness, we actually block our flow of Christ consciousness and Christ good. As you all know, I published a book. Oh, that's really nice. Who made that? That's me up there in the background. Yeah, you can kind of see me. That's really pretty. You made that, Mickey? It's really nice. Thank you. Oh, that's really awesome. Makes me feel like an author and everything. So as most of you know, I published a book a couple of weeks ago. It is out in the bookstore, and after services next week, I will be giving a talk on my book called Calming the Chaos, a soulful guide to managing your energy rather than managing your time. It really is the foundation and the platform of all of my teaching about learning to understand what energetic consciousness really is and how to apply that to the day-to-day living of your life, particularly around this notion of managing time, which I tell you right early in the book you can't do, so that should get your attention. So that's going to be happening next week. After services, I'll be doing just a 1-hour talk on my book, and I look forward to sharing that time with you next week. This is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to greet one another in love. In our community, we greet one another with a handshake or a hug, and we say, Namaste. The divine in me celebrates and recognizes the divine in you. And I greet you this morning with love. Namaste. Please feel free to greet one another. Namaste.
So we're going to bring Keith Bickford back for the heart opener. And it's a nice Boys in the Band day. Yeah, we're loving it. He's doing another Curtis J. Haynes song. Yes, we love Curtis. This is How the Fields Have Grown.
So, just a little story behind the song. So, some of you folks were here when Shipley was guiding us for her leaving, right? She did a great job. There was a book study. All the talks were about sending us into the wilderness to wander, right? And we did a pretty good job of standing our ground. And so those of you who heard this before, I'll just apologize that the third verse was written for Shipley to sort of reflect what was currently going on. Then I added a fourth verse for Ogun when we heard he was coming. And well, you'll know Ogun's verse because we'll rev that one up a little bit. Pardon the pun, of course. But I see this song sort of as a thread of the history of this church. It's not where one is gathered, it's where two or more are gathered that magical things happen. And Curtis really was one of the foundation layers with Shipley in building this community that we all have the privilege to be in today. So thanks to Curtis and Shipley.
Me too.
Okay, I got it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Who knew when this started? Well, how it would go. There's something about this place. Won't let go. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. They've grown in time. We grew just like seeds. We were thrown to the wind. Each season reminds us now of how new life begins. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. They've grown in time. Angel shepherd has parted. We're still standing as one. She sowed the seeds of love inside each and every one. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. They've grown in time. Never did we wander, well, never did we roam. We stood upon this fertile soil till our new shepherd came home. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. How the fields have grown. They've grown in time. this started, well, how it would go. You know, there's something about this place that just won't let go. How the fields have grown, how the fields have grown, how the fields have grown. They've grown this time. Gonna watch us grow. You're 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 gonna watch us grow.
Thank you, Keith and Brian.
So I want to tell you a story. True event. This really happened. So a group of people who were tired and frustrated by the acts of oppressive law enforcement, and they decided to act. So in an act of protest, they went out and destroyed about $1 million worth of property under the cover of darkness. And the authorities responded and cracked down on the protesters with even more oppression. Can you turn me down a little bit at the back? Them feedback. And when the authorities responded with even more oppression, all hell broke loose. I'm not talking about Baltimore. I'm not talking about Ferguson. I'm not talking about Cleveland. I'm talking about Boston. Boston, December 16, 1773. The Boston Tea Party. An act that went on to be one of the key events leading to the American Revolution. Those people, those protesters who defied the oppressive government and at the time were perhaps considered vandals and criminals, we now hail them as patriots. The Sons of Liberty, we call them. When I look at the events of Baltimore this past week, when I look at Ferguson a few months ago, Cleveland, when I look at these events, it actually fills me with hope. When I look at all the marches and the protests that continue in cities around the country, I'm filled with hope. When I read on Twitter all the tweets and posts with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, I am filled with hope. And here's why I'm filled with hope, because just as the Sons of Liberty ushered in a new era, a new time of transformation in our nation with their acts of protest and defiance, I believe right now we are standing at the precipice, the very edge of a new time of transformation in our country. You know, in Unity, we look at things what we call metaphysically. So like when we read the Bible, for example, the metaphysical idea is that everything that happened, every story, every place, is kind of parallel to our own spiritual experience. And if you want to learn more about that metaphysics, we have a class coming up. Shameless plug for a class that will start on Saturday. we have a class, metaphysics. Is metaphysics 4, even though the number says 4. It doesn't matter if you haven't taken 1 through 3. I'm going to invite you to consider, if you haven't signed up for the class yet, to do that, to find out more about how we can use this tool of metaphysics and metaphysical interpretation to open us up even further. But we look at things metaphysically. So when we consider our own spiritual transformation, I think many of us can attest, well, let me not throw us all under the bus, I'll speak for myself. I can attest that when I go through some measure of spiritual transformation, it always gets worse before it gets better. Okay? We in Unity even have a term for this because we like to name things. We call it in Unity chemicalization. Chemicalization. Okay? Here's what chemicalization means. Charles Fromer says, it's a condition in the mind that is brought about by the conflict that takes place when high spiritual realization contacts an old error state of consciousness. I'll say that again. When a conflict is a condition that is brought about by the conflict that takes place when a high spiritual realization contacts an old error state of consciousness. Okay? Now, a lot of us, when we hear this, we want to jump to the nice words, high spiritual realization and state of consciousness. But let's not forget that word that precedes them, conflict. There is a conflict within us. When we lay hold of a new spiritual teaching and realize that the thing that we used to hold as our truth isn't really working for us anymore, and we want to step into this new thing, but there's a conflict between the new thing coming in and our resistance to letting go of the old thing. We were talking about this over the last few weeks with the untethered soul. You know, that sometimes stepping out of our comfort zone thing and the tension that arises from that. And part of what we get to do is to shift our paradigm to realize that conflict, both the internal conflict when we do this transformation, and now the external conflict that we're seeing in the cities around our nation, the conflict is really a good thing. It looks scary on the TV. It looks scary when we see the looting, and it looks scary when we see the buildings burning, and it looks scary when we see the events that lead to these. When we hear about the victims, it looks scary. And often in the face of fear, what do? We close up a little bit. We're paralyzed. It frightens us. And I'm not saying don't be frightened. I'm not saying don't have your feelings. But behind them, remember, the conflict is a good thing. Why? Because I believe this nation is going through a chemicalization, where the old system, the old way of being, the old accepted practices are no longer serving. And if you want to get biblical, there's this idea about principalities and powers. If any of you came up in the old evangelical tradition, we talked a lot about principalities and powers. Anybody else, or is that just me? Is that just me? Jay's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we spend a lot of our time doing what we call spiritual warfare. You know, fighting the principalities, the demons that were there trying to control us, and we would go into spiritual warfare, and it was a whole thing. But again, metaphysically, what does that mean? Okay? When we read verses like that in the Bible, what does it mean for us? What it means is that idea of principality, that idea of a demon, even the devil itself, is simply meaning anything that would seek to negate the divine truth of who we are. Any thought that would seek to negate the divine truth of who we are. That's what that really means. You know, when we read about Jesus before he started on his ministry, he got baptized and then he disappeared in the desert for a while, and he was tempted by Satan. You know, we read about the temptations of Jesus. All this was, and we look at what that means metaphysically, is him coming to terms with those thoughts, with his own personality, idiosyncrasies, his own fears of what he was going to step into. perhaps his own ego, and facing those and saying, no, these things which would seek to negate the truth of who I am not going to give into. So it goes with us. The things that would seek to negate the truth of who we are, we say no to and say yes to the higher state of us. And I believe this is what's happening in our nation. What is happening in our nation is that we're saying no more. No more will we be okay with systems and practices that will seek to negate the divine truth of who we are, which is one. We are one. When we say in the Bible again, created in the image of likeness of God, metaphysically, what does that mean? Again, it means that for each and every one of us, beyond the personality, beyond the ego, beyond who we think we are, beyond the emotions, beyond the fears, even beyond the joys and the happiness and the successes, beyond all of that, we are ultimately the same, which is divine. And if our purpose in life is to live divinity, is to live God, is to bring that invisible into the visible, then we've got to have oneness in our world. We've got to have equality. And systems and practices that try to negate that idea are beginning to crumble. And often in the crumbling, there's conflict. There is action. And these are okay. These are okay. Now let me be clear. And I'll qualify what I'm saying by what is okay. Harming others is not okay. Stealing is not okay. Some cases, yes, the vandalizing is not okay. But those who are peacefully protesting and marching and lending their voices and standing up and saying no more, that's okay. That's bringing attention to what needs to be stripped away. So we ask ourselves as spiritual beings, what is ours to do? What is ours to do? Because I believe that everything starts in the invisible and comes into the visible. So if everything, positive or negative, started as a thought and an idea and then came into the physical, so I believe our response needs to come from the invisible to the visible as well. First thing we have is a spiritual response. We need to be a spiritual presence for these things going on. And we can do that in a couple ways. The first thing we have to do is to continue to affirm our oneness in the light of what we see going on and in the light of how it looks like it's a dividing marker, a division, tearing us apart. Look beyond that. Look beyond that to the deeper ultimate truth that we are one. We're not the same, but we are one. Thank you, Bono, for that great line. But we are one. We affirm our oneness. There's a great Bible verse, one of my favorites, Romans 8:38. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, angels nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Nothing can separate us from the divine of us because we're all one with and as the divine of us. There's no separation back of all things. So we got to remember that. Whenever we see anything happening that makes us uncomfortable, we remember that. We keep our hearts open. You know, that was the message of Untethered Soul. Keep our hearts open. Meditation is a great tool to help with that. I remember on Wednesday night, when we had our midweek service here, and we started to talk about this, someone so wisely shared. It was beautiful. I mean, it encapsulated the whole evening. You know, he said, I saw what was going on in Baltimore, and he said, I didn't want to come here tonight. What good was coming here going to do? And then he said, I remembered that if I come and I meditate and I sit in the stillness, it will bring peace to my heart. And I know that if I am at peace, that I will spread peace. And that's doing some good. I don't remember who said that. I hope he's here. Is he here? I don't see him here. But it was the most beautiful, poignant thing. That's starting to have a spiritual response. When we see these things on the news and the media, and the media, by the way, who are doing a great job of highlighting just the isolated things that are going wrong instead of the other great things that are going right. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But to be in that place of remembering that when we see these things that may agitate us and make us fearful and make us concerned, to remember that truth and to keep our hearts open. Because when we keep our hearts open and can breathe and meditate and find our place of peace with it, this is how we begin to get comfortable with the chaos. Because there will be chaos. That's the nature of the universe. Chaos, then creation, then more chaos, then more creation. This is the birth process. So we get comfortable with the chaos by our spiritual presence, affirming the truth of the oneness, getting in the stillness, keeping the hearts open. But that's not enough. That is not enough. Our fifth unity principle says it's not enough to know the truth, we must live it. So how do we live that truth? How do we live the truth of saying, I too, no longer want to support a system that seeks to deny the divine truth in reality. I'm ready for what's next. So how do we do that? By becoming a visible and a vocal presence for it. If it's yours to do, go march. Go protest in peace with others. Go hold a sign. And if that's not yours to do, be a vocal presence. Be a vocal presence on Facebook and on Twitter. And most importantly, at the water cooler in your workplace, at the lunch hour, here. Be a presence. When you hear others say things that may support the old system, that are not moving us forward, be a vocal presence and say no more. Be empowered. If not you, who? If not now, when? This is what we're being called to. This is what our spiritual work is about. My favorite line from The Untethered Soul, the highest spiritual path is life itself. Well, folks, it don't get no more life than this. And some of us may think we are far removed from it because this is not happening in our town, in our city. But you know what? We are one. We're not separated from anyone else in any other city or any other country. And what affects them affects us. And we've got to see that. We've got to know that. But let's just say that marching is not yours to do. And let's just say being that vocal presence is not yours to do. There's another favorite saying I like. If you can't make the time, you got to put in the dimes. There are many organizations out there that are being the voice and being the presence for what is going to come next, that are holding the energy of no more for this system that would seek to deny the divine truth coming into expression. Find them, and maybe you donate to them. There are many ways that we can be a presence for what's next. For what's next. There were a couple of scenes from the Baltimore riots that I love, especially. Everyone loved the Baltimore Mom. Remember the Baltimore Mom? Yeah. I had an interesting Facebook interaction when I posted, I don't believe in hidden children. I don't believe in corporal punishment. I don't. I've never laid a hand on my own child. And I come from a generation of people who didn't hesitate to lay their hands on their children. Trust me. Okay? I don't have the physical scars anymore, but trust me, I got the mental scars. Okay? But what she did that day was save her son's life. She saved her son's life. And the media, that video went viral. What's not going viral as fast is the follow-up with the mom and her son, when he pretty much thanked her for doing that, because he got caught up. He got caught up in the negative response to this, not the positive one. My other favorite positive image, there were a few of them. One of a young boy, and I'm sorry I didn't get the picture of this, a young boy, he couldn't have been more than 10 or 11, probably even younger, walking around with plastic bottles of water, handing them to the policeman. But perhaps the most poignant scene was the line of policemen linking arms and shields, and in front of them, a line of neighbors linking hands and saying, "No more. We have realized that the only way forward is together. That the only way forward is to say that the system on both sides that continue to perpetuate that idea of separateness and one better than the other and injustice, no more. No more. We have to move forward." So I see Baltimore. I see Ferguson, Cleveland. I hear the names of Eric Garner and Tamir Rice. I see all this happening, and I have hope. I have hope. I have hope that when my 14-year-old daughter is my age and older, she will look back at this as one of the most historical moments in our time, when we said equality and oneness begins today. Let's take this in a time of meditation.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
So I invite you to take a deep breath. Allow yourself to feel supported in that chair, Mother Earth beneath you. Allow your mind, your attention, your awareness to center on your hearts. If you feel comfortable, place a hand over your heart and just breathe into it. Breathe and feel that heart space opening. If you're a visual person, imagine a warm white glow just emanating from the center of your heart space. If you're a tactile person, feel the warmth as your hand rests on your heart. Let's just breathe into that heart space for a moment. Just allowing it to open. Allow ourselves to surrender and sink into that ultimate truth, the truth of oneness. We hear it so much, it's almost become a cliched term now, the oneness. But it is a truth that behind how we look, how we sound, how we feel, what we own, what we don't own, how much we have, how much we don't have, where we live, beyond all that, there is spirit. Spirit has no beginning, no end. Spirit is neither far nor near. Spirit just is. It is in us, we are in it. It is the truth of who we are. And our purpose is to bring that in to the visible world. We are God made real. To be the hands, the feet, the voice of God is to say, I believe that we are one. It's to say, I will be a voice and a stand for the oneness, for the equality, for the highest good of all. But it begins with an open heart. So let us just sit in the silence. Letting the heart open even more. And holding the intention that it stays open. It stays open in every situation of conflict that we may see or experience. It stays open as we become a voice for what's next. Because with an open heart, we lead with love. Let us sit in the silence. Breathe in into the open heart. As we continue to breathe, let us affirm silently to ourselves. My heart stays open in love. My heart stays open in love. We hold this truth for ourselves and all the names in this prayer box. That in the midst of their concerns and conflicts and circumstances, that they remember the divine truth of themselves and the heart stays open in love. And should you hold this intention for others, I invite you to say their names out loud. And in doing so, we connect with them in love. This is our truth. This is what we are here to be. We're here to be the stand for love, the voice for love, and the feet for love. For what's next? So we remember that we see others, they're the face of God, and we hold them in our hearts, in our open hearts, with love. Let's sing it together. You are the face of God.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
The face of love.
You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
I want you to imagine now you've seen pictures in the news. You've got scenes in your mind. So imagine the face of the victims. Also imagine the face of the police. Imagine the face of all those concerned. You may know someone, you may not know someone, but hold that image in your mind, because remember, they too are the face of God. We need to hold them, each and every one of them, on both sides of this in our hearts, because only when we can do that can there be a sense of reconnection. Can there be a sense of that oneness? Can there be the openness for forgiveness, for moving into what's next? Everything we see is that face of God. Everything we see, we need to hold in our hearts. The open hearts of love. Let's sing it again. You are the face of God.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Say it one more time. The face of love.
You are the
Each and every one of us is the face of God. Each and every person that's been affected by this system of injustice is the face of God. Everyone who's been a perpetrator of it is the face of God. And everyone that says yes to what's next is also the face of God. So be the face of God this week as you go forth. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, Maura. Thank you, choir. And this is our time where we gratefully receive of your gifts and love offerings and tithes. And I think it was last week, I tend to sometimes lose time. But I think it was last week that I invited you to stretch. Remember that? Was that last week? Yeah. How did we do with that? Was that comfortable or uncomfortable? Both answers are correct, by the way. Both answers are correct. So I'm gonna invite you into that again. Remember that idea of what we are comfortable giving and sharing of ourselves is perfectly okay. And if we wanna open up a little bit more and stretch a little bit more, that's inviting us into another level. So let's bring the music down a little bit. I feel like I'm like yelling over myself here just a tad. While you're preparing that, I want to honor our prayer chaplains. Would our prayer chaplains please stand for a moment? Wonderful. These folks are here to pray with you at the end of service, whether it be a prayer of concern or a prayer of celebration. And remember, in unity, prayer is remembering the truth. Prayer is remembering the truth of who we are as divine beings. This is what it is. So you can do that when you have concerns in your life, and you can do that when there's good stuff happening too. So they're here, and I thank them for their service. And let us bless our offering together. Everybody, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. All right, as the ushers pass the baskets, a couple things I wanted to share with you. I mentioned the metaphysics class in my talk. Where's Amy? Amy, please stand. Amy's our adult ed coordinator. If you have any questions about the class, please see her after service. We always have a great time in my classes because I like to push people a little bit past their comfort zone. And they never thank me for it during class, but they do after the fact. They do it later when they realize that was a good thing for me. Some folk, I'm still waiting for the thank yous for some folks who haven't gotten to that place yet, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm patient. There's no time in God, so they'll come around eventually. So I'd love to see some of you in this metaphysics class. It really is about how do we use these unity teachings in this highest spiritual path that we call life, okay? So there's that. The other thing I wanted to do, and Seth is going to come up in a little bit, and he's probably going to do it as well, but I want to take the moment to thank each and every one of you who was involved in the setup for Friday night spring fling, who came back on Saturday to help put the sanctuary back together, and those of you who came to do some spring cleanup yesterday as well. Folks who came and cleaned all the windows and swept, and there was some painting and spruced the place up. This is what stewardship looks like. Those of you who stepped into that. Yeah, we'll do that. So if any of you who are here did any of those things, whether it was set up for the spring fling, help clean up from the spring, too many spring words, can't get them all, spring fling, and then did some spring cleanup as well. If you were one of those volunteers, I want to invite you to stand now. Please stand. I want to applaud you. I want to applaud you especially because, so my understanding is usually when something like that happens, like on a Friday night, people clean up and pull the sanctuary back together afterwards. And I don't know about you guys, but when I have a party, I never clean up the night of. I mean, really, you know. So I made an executive decision Friday night and said, we're gonna go home, and I want some of you to come back and help me clean up tomorrow. And you know, people actually came back. They came back and helped clean up, which I think takes more than cleaning up the night of, to come back the day after the party and clean up. So truly, I want to thank you for doing that. And we had a great time Friday night. Friday night was awesome. Seriously, next time we have a dance, y'all gotta come. Twice, I was trying to make my way to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden there's a conga line behind me. Twice. And I'm like, y'all not all coming with me, so I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what that was about. But we had a great time. We had a great time of celebrating each other and celebrating together. We raised some good money for this spiritual community. So from the bottom of my heart to all of you, thank you for being a part of that. Let's bring the offerings up and give them another dose of blessing. I should probably put mine in too. Hang on, I got it. So for these wonderful gifts and reflections of our abundance, our prosperity, and our love for this community we call Unity on the River, I am so grateful. And I am grateful for those who give, those who continue to give. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And I'm also grateful for the streamers who gave as well by clicking on that Give Donate button. Hint, hint, if you haven't yet. Thank you. Seth. Or Maura. There you go, Maura.
Normally I would stand to do this announcement, but I'm happy to noodle. One thing I'd really love to say is that I'm so grateful for this music team. I'm really grateful for the music team. I really want to thank Keith today and the boys in the band. Steve and Chuck, and I really want to thank the choir so much. Again and again and again when they walk through the door. What the Concert of Unity Soul is sort of the heart of the music of unity. And the artists are coming and they're bringing their favorite songs that speak to them for unity. And I'm realizing as I'm putting the list together, it is the music that brought us through the transition. And as I was putting the list together, I have to admit I was a little choked up. I was. So I'm so grateful. So this night is really about celebrating that here we are, and we made it, and it's great, and Revo's with us, and the music's just a blast with him, and that, you know, we made it. And this is a great time to celebrate, great chance to get your dancing shoes on, dust off the winter, and come enjoy the sound of the Unity Soul. And I'd love to see you there. It'll be Saturday, June 6th. There'll be music with the Bryans, Meg, Keith's going to be doing stuff, the boys in the band, the choir, of course. I'll be doing stuff. Paula Esty, Torch will be with us, Alex Valenti, Patty Barkas, and Trish Ives will be with us. So definitely come. It'll be $15. You can get tickets at the door. Yeah, just come and dance and celebrate it all. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
Just have a few more announcements to share. Nicanor, are you here? Would you please stand up? Not only is Nicanor a great DJ, and those of you who were at the dance on Friday know this, he also is a Tai Chi master. And there's still some availability to sign up for his classes out in hospitality. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Nicanor wouldn't mind answering those too afterwards, after service. So Mother's Day is coming up. After Jackie's wonderful service, we'll have a Mother's Day social in youth and family. And then there is still availability to take a 12 Powers painting class, several classes actually, with Renee Schneider. We're so blessed to have so many talented artists in our community, and Renee definitely is very talented. And Dr. Michael Murdad is coming. There is a little adjustment to the schedule. There will be an evening song service on Wednesday, May 20th, 7 p.m. in the sanctuary. An Evening of Miracles will actually be on Tuesday, though, at 7 p.m. also in the sanctuary. And there's also availability to have appointments with him. There's Angela's contact information right there, her number. And then Unity Basics will be taught by both Rev Ogun and Amy Jocelyn. This is a great class, a great foundation for Unity teachings. If you enjoy coming to service, this is a great first class to take it a little deeper. And so we have sign-ups in hospitality once again. Oh, Sacred Service. So I am the director of Sacred Service here, and I did want to share some positive news. Earth Day has come and gone, but our responsibility to Mother Earth and our children and our children's children, it's an everyday spiritual practice. And I'm happy to say that we have a new recycling system. But in order to explain it, I kind of have to explain the old paradigm. So the way we used to do things here is we would have volunteers bring recycling home, and each town that they lived in had a different recycling system. And I don't want to make fun of this because we had volunteers do this for 5 years, bring recycling home once a week. That is humbling. That is true sacred service. But it is. But it doesn't have to be that hard. So we have a new system now. I'm happy to announce zero sort recycling. We have recycling on site. Next week it will be reflected in hospitality, but all recycling goes in one container. It gets picked up, and we are actually sharing this with one of our neighbors here in this building. And so the hope is maybe there'll be enough room for a few other neighbors. So this is an ideal win-win-win. We fulfill our obligation to Mother Earth. We practice environmental consciousness. We do it in a way that it's not too hard on volunteers, and we actually share this with a neighbor. Fantastic. So thank you for everyone involved with that. And speaking of sacred service again, new systems, new policies are great, but we need volunteers to make them run. So if any of you are interested in helping out with recycling, either joining the green team or even hospitality, please come see me afterwards. I'll be at the sacred service table in hospitality. There are also some other opportunities. We actually have 25 sacred service teams, and we are constantly looking for members, but these are the ones I want to highlight today. Hospitality, welcoming, streaming team, building and maintenance team, bookstore, and PowerPoint team. We're looking for alternates. Training will be provided. So if you're interested in joining any of these teams or learning more about what opportunities we have, please come see me after service. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Seth. Just a couple things to add to that. The Unity Basics course that we have coming up, if any of you are interested in membership here at Unity on the River, becoming a member, that is a required course for membership, so I want to let you know that. And also, I know many of you are thinking someday you want to serve on the Board of Trustees. Membership is required for serving on the Board of Trustees. You have to be a member of Unity on the River in order to serve on the board. So just put that in your future thinking as you deepen your connection and your commitment with our spiritual community. And then a couple of times it's been referenced today, the transition, and I was just noticing as we were talking about that, since we've gone through a transition of our founding minister to Reverend Ogun, it was a year ago today that we sent Shipley off to her retirement. It was May 4th last year, so congratulate yourselves, Unity on the River. We've made it 1 year. And thanks to all of the teams, the hearts and the hands that make our ministry possible. Look at all of the people in the places that just give their loving service. Seth, I really like that quote that you put out. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to other people. And I'll just put a plug, and to lose yourself in service to this community. So thank you all for who do that. And our Board of Trustees, if there's anyone here from the board, would you please stand up so we can recognize you? Oh, I miss you guys. If you have any questions for anyone on the Board of Trustees, please feel free to grab them after services, and they'll be sure to take good care of you. And Maura, I believe we have a little bit more music. I look forward to it. Let's do it. Let's welcome in our Youth and Family Ministries.
We are
I blend in. Well aware. I saw that. Yeah. So we had fun in Youth Ed today. Today we talked about the power of power. And that it is purple. It's Purple Day.
Oh, right.
And that we made mean soup and how to get all your meanness out. But our kids are so awesome, they were uncomfortable making mean soup. They just enjoyed making happy, fun soup after. It was so sweet. It was really fantastic. We also started working on our Mother's Day presents, so we need to know who's going to be here next week and who needs to take it home secretly today. Please and thank you.
Two quick things I forgot to mention. One, you won't see me for a few more Sundays in May, but in June, I'm going to start a new series on superheroes because it's it's June, and it's summer and all the superhero movies are rolling out. We got Avengers, some other movies are coming. So I am going to invite you guys with me on those Sundays in June to dress up like your favorite superheroes. I'm not just talking to the kids, I'm talking to the kid in all of us. Seriously, wear your superhero costumes, even if it's just a t-shirt with the Batman logo on it. Wear your superhero stuff. We're gonna have some fun with that. Second thing I want to mention is that I keep forgetting to do this, but I'll do it this week before I forget again next week. We open up the invitation for to find a new treasurer of the board because Peter stepped into the role of our new director of operations, and we were gifted with the most amazing soul who was sitting here with us this whole time. I want to invite Christine to stand, if you don't mind. Christine is our new board treasurer. And we know we're in good hands when the previous board treasurer says, I'm blown away by what she's bringing. So thank you so much for stepping up into this role of sacred service and losing yourself with us. So let us end today's service by standing, joining hands, singing the peace song. And are there any kids going to come with me to do the thing? All right, these three are coming. All right, let's go. The rest of you stay here. And let's do the peace song. Have a good week.
Thank you, boys.